Good morning, students. The topic for today is endocrine system and adolescence. As we all know, our body has two types of glands, the endocrine gland and the exocrine gland. The exocrine glands send their secretions through ducts to the target organs. For example, your salivary glands and pancreas. On the other hand, the endocrine glands are ductless glands. They do not have ducts. The secretion are called hormones and they are poured directly into the blood and are then carried by blood to the target organs. You can have a look at the picture over here. The hormone producing glands are called the endocrine glands. These glands have no ducts, as I've already told you, and they pour the secretions, that is your hormone, directly into the blood. Therefore, they are known as ductless glands. Hormones are secreted in very small quantities, yet they are vital and carried to all parts of the body. Each hormone has a specific function and its effect is produced in one or more specific parts only. So here we are going to read about the four major glands of the endocrine system. They are your thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas and pituitary gland. Let's take a look at the thyroid gland. See the location. It's a bilobed gland situated on either side of the windpipe, just below the larynx. It secretes thyroxine, which is an iron containing protein. This hormone speeds up the rate of most of the activities of the body. It stimulates the growth of infants. The insufficient secretion or the oversecretion of this gland has harmful effects on the body. Let's give a look at the insufficient secretion of thyroxine. We come across three disorders or three ailments. First one is your simple goiter. It is an ailment caused due to the enlargement of thyroid gland. It appears as a swelling in the neck. It occurs due to insufficient iodine in our daily food. The next one is cretinism. It is an ailment which brings about abnormal development in an infant. The result in both physical and mental retardation as well. Third one is your myxedema. It's a condition seen in adults. It shows general sluggishness with swelling on the face and hands. Oversecretion of thyroxine leads to increased metabolic rate, increased heartbeat, obesity, general restlessness. The next gland is our adrenal gland. They are caps like over the kidneys. Have a look on both the sides of the kidney on top of it. Each adrenal gland consists of two parts, a central medulla and a peripheral cortex. It secretes two hormones. One is your adrenaline, which is secreted by medulla. Another one is cortisone, secreted by cortex. Let's see adrenaline. Medulla secretes adrenaline, which is also known as your emergency hormone. The hormone is secreted when a person is under severe stress. It may be physical or it may be emotional. He may be very angry or he may be in a great fright. He may be fearful. This hormone prepares the body to meet any emergency situation, that is to face the danger or flee from the situation. Hence, it's known as flight hormone. Functions of adrenaline. This hormone provides an extra energy and strength to the body in any adverse condition. It increases the heartbeat and the rate of respiration accompanied with a rise in the blood pressure. Increases in the blood supply to the muscles and release more glucose into the blood by the liver. Cortisone hormone, which is secreted by cortex, its function is to influence the carbohydrate, fat, protein metabolism. It regulates salt and water balance in the body, which is very well known as osmoregulation. They adapt the body to stressful conditions such as extreme heat, cold, or infections. The third one is our pancreas. It is situated behind the stomach. It secretes a digestive gland and it has a cluster of hormone secreting cells called the islets of Langerhans. It actually has two functions. It may be called as an exocrine and an endocrine gland. So let's see its endocrine function. Being an endocrine gland, it secretes two hormones. One is your insulin, the other one is a glucagon. Now, what function this insulin does? It lowers the glucose from the body's bloodstream in three ways: by converting extra glucose to glycogen, which is ultimately stored in the liver and muscles. It induces the cells to burn extra glucose to produce heat and energy for the body, causes cells to convert extra glucose into fat. Now, suppose this insulin is insufficient to the body. What happens in that case? Diabetes mellitus is caused. All of you must be aware of this. A diabetic person has a high concentration of sugar level in the blood. He excretes a great deal of urine loaded with sugar and feels very thirsty because of loss of water through much urination. Usually, he loses weight and tends to become weak. In certain persons, the glucose level comes down due to oversecretion of insulin. This is very harmful and may be very serious also. This is known as insulin shock. A person may go into coma as well. Coming to the next secretion of pancreas, that is your glucagon. It stimulates the breakdown of glycogen in the liver to glucose, thus raising the sugar level in the blood. The pituitary gland, though it's the size of it is nearly the size of a pea, but it's known as a master gland. It secretes several hormones, some of which regulate the activity of other endocrine glands. That is why we told just now that it's called as the master gland. Let's see the functions. Growth hormone, it acts like a growth hormone. Like insufficient amount of growth hormone causes dwarfism and excess secretion results in gigantism. Follicular stimulating hormone, it influences the production of sperms in males and ova eggs in females. It plays a very important role in the birth process as it produces hormones which cause contraction of the muscles of the uterus during the childbirth. Prolactin, it stimulates the breasts to produce milk after the childbirth. Thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates the thyroid to produce thyroxine. So, in a nutshell, you can just have a look at this table. You can see the glands, their location, the hormones, they secrete, and their functions. So coming to adolescence, we all know that hormones play a very important role in the growth and functioning of the human reproductive system. The period of life when the body undergoes development leading to reproductive maturity is called adolescence. It's a transitional stage of physical and mental human development that occurs between childhood and adulthood. It's a time of rapid development of growing towards physical and sexual maturity. An adolescent is neither a child nor an adult. In girls, adolescence may begin a year or two earlier than in boys. Let's see what the physical changes take place among them. First one is increase in height. So during this period, the bones of the arms and the legs elongate. Weight of the body also increases. A person becomes a little bit hefty. Initially, girls grow faster than the boys, but towards the end of the teenage, both reach their maximum height. The rate of growth in height varies in different individuals as well. Second one is changes in the body shape. Boys generally have longer bones and more muscles as compared to girls. Boys have broader shoulders and narrower hips, while girls have curvaceous body and broader hips due to the enlargement of hip bones. change in voice. Now, during the adolescence, larynx of the voice box begins to grow. Boys develop larger voice boxes. This can be seen in the boys as a protruding part around the throat, which we call it as an Adam's apple. There's a cracking of voice, children, in among the boys that time. In girls, the voice box is smaller in size, and generally the girls have a high pitched voice, whereas boys have got a deep hoarse voice. Fourth point, increased activity of the sweat in the sebaceous gland. Yes, very important again. During adolescence, the secretion of the sweat glands and the sebaceous glands increases. Many young people get acne and pimple on the face at this time because of the increased activity of these glands in the skin. Now, what are the psychological changes we see in adolescence? Let us see. As we know that adolescence is a very critical period, during this period, boys and girls not only experience a spurt in physical growth, but also rapidly they show emotional and psychological changes. The boys and the girls become too conscious about the growth of their body. They start worrying and feeling shy about the growth in various parts of the body. And they are very hesitant in sharing their problems to others. They spend a lot of time in grooming themselves. They become worried about the future, although it is a juvenile stage to think about the future. Since they have no set goals, they start fearing, which develops a stage of depression in them, which is due to dramatic increase in the hormone level in the body. Hormones affect the brain that control the emotions and moods, which is a temporary phase that goes away with the increase in age. So you are not supposed to feel scared that what's happening to y'all. Boys and girls like to remain with their group of friends, known as peers, most of the time since they feel safe in groups. This is a crucial age as adolescence bring with its emotion and psychological changes. In the eagerness to be like the peers, boys and girls may get into wrong company. Yes, you have to be very careful about it. Develop habits like smoking and drinking or become addicted to certain types of drugs. This may cause harm to them in the long run. Now we come to the personal hygiene. Personal hygiene plays a very important role in maintaining one's own health during adolescence. Individuals are advised to observe the following practices: proper and safe food. During adolescence, you have to remember that as it's a rapid growth and development, hence, an adolescent should take proper care of the diet. They should have a balanced diet which includes proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals. They should take freshly prepared food and avoid the stale food. They also should avoid excessive consumption of fast food, which all the youngsters they love nowadays. Next we come to the proper lifestyle. Now what is this? They should avoid long hours of continuous stable work. Watching TV or playing games on computer for long hours also should be avoided. Consuming alcohol, smoking or drugs, that too should be avoided. Coming to the cleanliness part. Always we all know that we should wash our hands with soap before and after meals. You are supposed to clean your teeth before going to bed. Take a bath regularly with clean water and good soap. Regular your toilet habits so that everything is maintained in good health. Your feet should be also cleaned every day and well protected. Hair should be washed regularly and combed. And always remember to use a clean comb. Eyes should not be rubbed. You are supposed to splash water on your eyes and clean it every day. If cleanliness is not maintained, children, there are chances of catching bacterial infection. Girls should take special care of cleanliness during the time of their menstrual cycle. The last one, that's your physical exercise. Yes, nowadays all of us are only attached to the mobile phones or computer. to just keep on playing games. But that's a very wrong thing. To keep the body fit and healthy, young boys and girls should walk, exercise, and play outdoor games, which is hardly seen nowadays. Physical activity is also important to combat the stress and strain of adolescence. Coming to stress. Now, what is this? It's a normal problem which we all are facing nowadays. The youngest child of the family also says that, Ma'am, Mama, I'm in stress, Papa, I'm in stress. So, let's see what the stress is and how we combat that problem. It's a state of mental and or emotional strain and is very simple terms, it can be called as tension. It's what you feel when you have to handle more than you are used to. And when you're stressed, your body responds as if you are in danger. It makes hormones that speeds up your reactions. Stress management. Let's see how to manage it. Stress management is all about taking charge of your lifestyle, thoughts, emotions, and the way you deal with problems. A number of self help approaches to prevent stress have been developed. The first one is yoga. It's your mind body practice that combines physical poses, controlled breathing, meditation, or relaxation. Yoga helps to reduce stress with increased flexibility, increased muscle strength and tone. It improves the respiration, energy, and vitality of the body. Weight reduction improves athletic performance. Next one is your exercise. Just 30 to 45 minutes of exercise at least 3 times a week can make you feel much healthier and in control of your own life. Proper sleep schedule. Very important. You are supposed to sleep for long hours in by which you can just help to reduce stress. Reading, it's a very good way to calm down your mind and to gain knowledge. Many of us have this habit. Thinking positively. Become a positive thinker and take more pleasure in your everyday interactions as well. Laughing, it improves your mood and makes you feel very happy. Deep breathing, it's another way to invoke the relaxation response to stress. Meditation, for meditation, sit in a quiet place for at least 15 to 20 minutes every day with your hands in a comfortable position, eyes closed, and focus on your breathing movement. Time management, getting organized will help you to plan your work and have a better sense of what you need to do and how. The last one, do something that you enjoy every day. So, these are the different points you have to manage stress. So, we come to the end of the chapter. I hope you all have understood it very nicely. Thank you, children.